Hey there everybody, I'm Richard Eisenbeis for GameZone.com and welcome to Big in Japan. Back in 2006, they announced that there would be 3 titles in the Fabula Nova Crystallis Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy 13, Versus 13, and Agito 13. Agito was announced as a cell phone game with card battle mechanics. But as the hype built, it was re-announced as a PSP title. Then, late last year, perhaps because of the mixed reception of Final Fantasy 13, the title was rebranded under a new name, Final Fantasy Type-0. So, let's dive right on in, shall we? Final Fantasy Type-0 is the story of 4 countries, each possessing a crystal. One for magic, one for weapons technology, one for shields, and one for dragons. By the start of the game, Cid, the leader of the weapons tech empire, has begun a war of conquest to take over the other 3 kingdoms and their crystals. His main weapon is the new Crystal Jammer, which prevents the other kingdoms from using their crystal's powers. Yet, in the Magic Kingdom are 14 young people, chosen by the crystal themselves and immune to the jammers, who fight to win back their country. They are Class 0. The more personal story centers around Rem and Machina, pair of childhood friends, and Ace, the leader of Class 0. And while the other characters all have their own scenes and moments to shine, none of them really affect the story as much as the 3 mains. By taking the melee and magic gameplay from Crisis Core and blending it together with the gunplay of the Third Birthday, Type-0 delivers an experience unlike any other PSP title. Amazingly, all 14 characters play differently, even those that look similar on the surface. Take King and his dual-wielding pistols. He can move while firing, but has to reload every 12 shots. Cater, on the other hand, cannot move while firing, but never needs to reload. Also, every melee character attacks at a different speed with a different animation. And best of all, while it may take a little while to figure out, every character is useful, despite your first impressions when playing them. You just have to figure out their roles. The battles themselves are fast and frantic, centering around the kill site, which signals a one-hit kill opportunity. There are often also squad leaders in battle that, while harder than standard grunts, cause all other enemies in the area to surrender and give up items when defeated. And for those desperate situations, you are even able to summon and control Eldions for a limited time, but not without a cost. Whoever casts the summon dies at the end of the time limit. The world map returns along with towns, chocobos, airships, and random encounters. The big new element is the occasional RTS battle, where you play as a hero unit and help your armies conquer new towns. Type-0's presentation is top-notch. There's tons of voice work, and Takeharu Ishimoto, composer of both The World Ends With You and Crisis Core, delivers his best soundtrack yet. On the visual side, let's be frank. The graphics in Type-0 are amazing. Not only are they the best the PSP has ever seen, but they put many, if not all, PS2 games to shame as well. Okay, there. I've talked about everything good to be found in Type-0 up front. No one can say that I didn't give this game a fair shake. But now it's time for the surprise reveal. I hated this game. And that's not something I say very often. Other than likening the experience of Final Fantasy VIII to being skull-raped, I don't think I've ever hated a single game I've reviewed. Oh, I've thought many were bad or overrated, some even capable of ending the world. But disappointment and ambivalence are not the same as hate. So when you look at the games that I've reviewed and I tell you that I do not hate a single one of them, you know it means something when I tell you I hated Final Fantasy Type-0. Because as much as I hated Type-0, that is nothing compared to how much Final Fantasy Type-0 hates you. It hates you so much that it basically removes Phoenix Downs from the game. It introduces you to new enemies by giving them a free one-hit kill. It puts you in unwinnable battles and then punishes you for losing. It exploits the flaws in the camera with blind corners and wall juggles. But worst of all, it mocks you for not being able to tell the future. You mean you didn't know this type of magic was vital for this dungeon? Oh, you didn't bring a ranged character to this area with all the flying enemies? Oh, what's that? You didn't know there'd be a second boss right away? And it's not like you can swap out your gear, characters, or spells in the field. Oh no, that can only be done at save points. Its only way of obtaining joy is to completely and utterly waste your time, whether that's making you spend hour upon hour grinding 5 levels for all 14 characters after each and every story mission, or destroying you and then laughing as you're forced to redo the last 20 minutes of play. Even the co-op mode, potentially the most enjoyable part of the game, is tainted as the game enforces a 5-minute time limit, booting you out of your friend's mission just as you're really getting into it. Sure, you can immediately reconnect, but the whole process will waste another full minute of your time in loading. And just for extra spite, PSP 1000 owners can't even play the co-op mode, despite it being the only way to get many of the most useful items in the game. Final Fantasy Type-0 just plain hates you. It hates you. It hates you for being born, because without life, you'd never have had the audacity to even try and play it. Anyway, I'm Richard Eisenbeis for GameZone.com. Peace out.